I hope you guys enjoyed that little preview of what they're doing at Full Sail University. Full Sail University is, of course, Major League Gaming's official education partner. You can go there, learn a lot of cool stuff about developing games. You can be a part of the next generation of games, just like Starcraft 2, Call of Duty, League of Legends, etc. You can work on design work for the games. You can work on modeling work, video animation, audio engineering. There's a lot of cool programs they have there. In fact, we even have a couple of their people working for us. We have an intern who does all of our audio, our graphics guy who does all our graphics for all of our shows. He's a former graduate from Full Sail University. Some really great programs over there. Feel free to check it out. You can go to www.fullsail.edu/MLG. Of course, there's also a link in the description on the Twitch stream. You can just click that. It'll direct you to that site as well for more information. Some great programs. Feel free to check them out. Back to rules of engagement, let's take a look at our next replay. It's going to be a Terran versus Zerg, talking about how to mass orbital commands early against Zerg and the advantages and disadvantages of doing so. It's going to be Major versus Scarlet, and a couple of important things to look at are, one, first, what are the advantages of massing those orbital commands early? Then, what are the disadvantages of making those early? And of course, lastly, how should this change your play? Once you know the advantages and disadvantages of the strategy, how should you change your play to try to maximize those advantages and minimize those disadvantages? So let's jump in this replay. It's going to be on Cloud Kingdom. It's going to be Mr. Senior Major, also known as Root Kitty, also known as Princess Leia, or no, that's someone else. Sorry, he's got a lot of names, but I'll call him Root Major. And then Scarlet is going to be his opponent. And of course, this was a game from the MLG tournament, a very competitive. It's to see who would qualify for the group stages. So the winner, there's a lot on the line here. And Major decides that, you know what, I'm going to open my normal build. You know, the fast expansion, the Reactor Hellions, the Banshee. You know, you poke around, you try to be annoying to the Zerg, make him send out queens and make, you know, little walls here and do all that stuff, this your standard annoying stuff. Followed by the standard third Tommy. But, wait a minute, that's not just a third, that's a fourth command center is on the way. And you know, what's this? As we fast forward, also we're going to see a fifth command center on the way. This is madness, right? Nobody does this. 5 command centers off of just the Hellions and Banshees. This is crazy, right? So let's take a look and talk about some of the advantages of doing this type of mass early orbital play. So the obvious advantage is you have a ton of mineral income early in the game, right? You're going to have all these minerals from the mules, from the extra SCV production, so you can saturate all your 3 bases. Of course, you can take a third very, very, very quickly. That's the advantage. And then, of course, that turns into the ability to produce a massive amount of low-tech units. So that's going to be a ton of Marines. All the extra mules are basically, each mule is going to be turned into 5 Marines, right? So a ton of extra Marines you can make. The disadvantage, though, of making this orbitals early is, note a couple things. Where are his engineering base, right? They just finished, right? He's just starting 1-1. Scarlet's already got 1-1 done. He's just starting 1-1. Where is his second factory and the siege tank in the siege mode? There's no siege tank. There's a first siege tank. There's no second factory. There's no siege mode being started. You know, his reactors just started on a starport. Basically, his tech is low, right? The disadvantage is the tech is very low. And then there's the obvious disadvantage is that, oh, if you build his orbitals, what if they try to cheese you? Well, I mean, as long as you play it well, I think you're pretty much immune to cheeses because you've got the Hellion Banshees scouting your opponent. And if you notice that they're not joining up the third very much, or they're not even taking the third, of course, you have to be careful for a fast Mutalist play. You have to be careful for a fast Nidus play. Be very alert at scouting around your base. Drop play, you can scout around. Just continue to make Banshees. As long as you make non-stop Banshees, you're pretty much immune to every cheese out there. Even Queen drops, if you get enough Banshees, you can just overpower them, and then the Roaches will be no problem at all. So, as long as you scout well with your initial Reactor Hellion Banshee opening, you should be fine versus cheeses, but that is something to keep an eye out for, is that you're more vulnerable to them, so you have to be able to scout well and react to what you scout. So those are the disadvantages. Now let's talk about how should he change his play when massing the orbitals, right? Because that definitely is going to affect his play. We can notice right now he doesn't have that many units. Right now, a lot of Terrans like to be doing a lot of pressure on their opponent. But he can't do that because he slowed down to the progression of his tech and army a little bit early on to get those orbitals. At the advantage of being able to produce massive amounts of Marines, basically as soon as he gets the barracks up, which he should be building. There it is. So he's going to get these barracks up, even more coming down. His Marine production is going to be insane once these all get running. But right now, he's just a little bit weaker. So one thing you have to be careful is that you're going to have more Marines, but because you have less tech, he's still on a single factory, right? He only has a couple siege tanks. Right? He's moving out with 2 here. His army is going to be much weaker because he has less tech. So because you have a weaker army, you want to avoid a straight-on confrontation. You're just going to get run over, right? Avoid that straight-on confrontation, and instead find ways to trade minerals for minerals. So one thing he's thinking, I want to trade minerals for minerals. I'll just go attack, and my army will kill some of her army, and I'll be okay. But like I said, the problem is she has 2/2 Zerglings. He's at 1/1, and I mean, yeah, you have great economy. In fact, if you look at this mineral income, he's ahead of the Zerg player, right? Even though he's got what 13 less workers, he's ahead in economy because of mules, and he's not even using those mules right now because he was using scans. So he's not even using his optimal economy. He's still ahead of the Zerg. Look at his food difference. Scar's been macroing this game very well, but yet Major is 20 food ahead from that opening. But a lot of that food is in units being produced right now, and also he has an upgrade disadvantage. So his army is actually weaker right now. And so he wants to avoid a direct-on confrontation, because if he doesn't, what happens is even though there's not that many Zerglings, as soon as they decide to engage, the upgrades are so superior that, look at this, they're just going to absolutely run over his army. So he's going to wait for a few more. And look at this. It's going to be 24, 30 Marines, let's say, 29 versus maybe twice that many. This is 48 and another 10, 58 Zerglings. So there's only twice as many Zerglings as there are Marines. The Marines have medevac and tank support. There are some infestors, but normally the Marines should be able to do pretty well in this battle, especially with all those tanks back there. Nice use of infested Terrans. But yet the Zerglings cleaned up absolutely easily. And that's just because of the tech difference. So we pause it right here, and now all of a sudden he's lost that food advantage because he went into a direct confrontation. So we'll pause it right here, and let's bring up the map, and let's talk about a couple of things that Major maybe could have done to try to get himself in a better position where he could trade minerals for minerals, not just his whole army for a few Zerglings. So we know he had a group of guys right here, and we know he also had several medevacs. He had 5 medevacs. We also know, and he knew this too, that Scarlet had no mutalists out in the field and no corruptors out in the field. A few infestors, but basically meant that medevacs had a very free reign. And medevacs are one of the best ways to trade minerals for minerals, because you can get in that situation where you launch a drop. If they send too many Zerglings, you just lift up and get away. Maybe they use some fungals to get rid of you. But in the meantime, your other drops can be killing drones, or you can trade well against Zerglings because you can position yourself behind minerals. You can at least deny mining time. You can kill a spine crawler. You can kill buildings. Whatever it is, you're going to get pretty decent trades, even at an upgrade disadvantage, because the Zerg doesn't have a great way to answer these drops. So instead of heading right down here and launching this attack, and then just basically getting killed, right? That didn't work out. He just got killed. So instead of doing that, he should have tried to utilize his ability to produce massive amounts of units, but they weren't very good quality, to try to do damage everywhere, right? He could have launched a dropship. You know, let's say we'll do dotted lines for dropships. Could be a dropship coming around here and landing right here. Boom. There could be another dropship coming around here and landing right there. And you know what? He doesn't stop it there, because he has so much money, he can keep rebuilding this stuff. He should send him more. He should send another dropship all the way into the main, drop right there, and then he could send another dropship. He could even send like them on the land route, but with enough medevacs to pull them up if they were overrun. 4 attacks at once. Normally that's not great, because you know what? I don't care who you are, maybe if you're Flash, but I mean, odds are you can't control four control groups at the same time very well. But you know what? Just do a Gumiho style. So you know, I'll lose some of them. I won't be super effective at controlling all of them, but they're all going to do damage. They're all going to get decent unit trades from me, because my opponent can't control them all either. So no matter what, I'll get damage done. And that's what Major needed to do. If we jump back in this game here, we can see Major's going to be he's at a disadvantage in tech, right? Scarlet's on 3-3, getting Greater Spire underway. He needed to find a way to get damage done. And the direct attack's not going to work, because if you put all the army in one place, the superiority upgraded units are going to just overrun you. But if you attack, if you attack here with a small squad, you attack down here with a small squad, over here with this squad, you can drop it even right there's the sweet spot, and then you drop into main and you can come and attack the main. They can't defend all those effectively. There's going to be a couple ones where you get in good damage and you get something done, and that's what he needed to do. So the best way to trade minerals with a weaker army, because the army's weaker, the best way to get trades done when you're weaker is by harassment. You don't just walk out on the map and say, hey, fight me, because then they just, they have a bigger fist, they just punch you and you go fall over and the fight's over, right? I mean, it's like picking a fight with a guy twice your size. You don't do that. What you do is you sneak around, and when a guy's not looking, you grab a stone, you throw it, conk him in the back of the head. Then he spins around that way, you have your other small buddy on the other side throw a stone from that angle. You just keep doing that. And it's going to eventually weaken him. Yeah, you're using up stones, and I mean, each stone's a medevac, you have a limited supply, but look at this income. He can keep replacing them pretty easily, and even right now, he's got only 2 mules mining, 3 mules mining, so his income's still actually higher. I mean, he's just going crazy with income. So he can afford to lose these units, but he's got to do something to slow Scar down, because if not, guess what happens? The time he's doing his second push out, this second push out is going to be met with, unfortunately, a kind of a scary army, and that's going to be a bunch of Broodlords, right? So as he's getting ready to move his second push out, clearing some creep, getting ready to move out across the map, all of a sudden he's met by, you know what, let's do the second push. I think it's good. Oh no, there's Broodlords. Oh no, I'm getting fungal. And all of a sudden he's going to get run over because, you know what? Well, the Zerglings are only 2-2 right now, but they're about to be 3-3, backed up by Broodlords, fungals all over the place, Baney's crushing in, still not enough tanks. Because he didn't do anything to slow Scar down, instead he tried a direct confrontation, which didn't work out that way. So, let's do a quick recap on the basic ideas of the mass orbital play. The strength, a lot of extra minerals. The weakness, low tech, so weak army. The way to play that build, a lot of harassment everywhere, find a way to trade minerals. Maybe while you're doing that, you can sneak your extra orbitals, take some extra bases, get that gas income to get your tech. Maybe Raven transition would be great. I don't know. But going out for direct pushes, you can't afford to get those extra orbitals because you gotta make those time pushes hit just a little bit faster. That clears up this segment. We're gonna take a quick break. Be right back with a Zerg versus Protoss replay. Lenok versus Rain, about how to use roaches as a harassment tool in Zerg vs. Protoss. See you guys in a minute.